good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Talk Football. I'm your host, the most Sinashe, and I'm joined as ever by my fantastic co-hosts. We've got Shihab in the building. How's it going, Shihab?
Yeah, good, you.
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. And Nabi, how you doing?
Yeah, doing okay. You just giving up on from coming up with lines now.
No, it's not that I've given up. I just, yeah, I forgot. I didn't actually. I forgot. Just some quick housekeeping. Last week there was meant to be a pod, but the laptop I used to record caused us a bit of issues, and it recorded the pod in various 8-second clips. So yeah, apologies for the delay. So you weren't able to hear the great chat that Nabi and I had actually, which was uh, pretty good, I must say.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It all came true as well.
Pardon?
It all came true.
Yeah, this is the thing that
Did you all say Liverpool would be Arsenal?
yeah, we literally. I was like, for me, I was just like, I'm expecting Liverpool to win. But anyway, we'll get into that. But yeah, I was expecting Liverpool to win. And who was the one player that I said I was worried about, Nabi? Even more so than Salah and Mane. Jota.
The main man.
Yeah,
Main man.
he was one person I was like, I really just have a bad feeling of. But anyway, yeah. So the technical issues weren't able to get the pod out, and for that we do apologize. And we also do apologize for not being as active on the main football page, main Twitter page. Sorry. But yeah, we'll look to pick that up again, and we also do have a TikTok, which I will post to. I've got one posting on there, but I will post to it. However, with all that being said, if you scroll down or click the description and it will pop up, you'll see all our socials in there. So if you can just click on the link, give us a follow, like, interact, and what's the other one? Like, follow, and interact. That's it. Yeah. And yeah, every like, every comment, it exposes us to another potential listener. While the Talk Football fam grows, the TFF catchphrase right there. But yeah. So now getting into the games, actually, I guess we'll start off with the United game, which was a pretty straightforward. Well, I would say pretty straightforward. It wasn't pretty straightforward actually. It was pretty tricky up until the last couple of minutes, the last sort of 20 minutes or so. But yeah, I'll hand over to Nabi. Nabi, how were you feeling with the lineup and especially the performance as well? Because they didn't sort of turn it on up until later, but I guess that's to be expected with the international break.
Well, if you recall, that is exactly what I was saying last week.
Yep, I do recall.
That it was going to be a slow start because of the international break, and Brighton, with having less players on international, looked to make a faster start, which it did happen. Yeah, well, kind of did happen. Yeah, and I also said McTominay wouldn't play because he played 390s for Scotland, and that they'd probably go with a 2 with Pogba in midfield, which did happen. The only thing I didn't get right was I didn't expect Greenwood and Rashford to both play since they had injuries, but they both made it with Cavani up front. And yeah, it was a tepid start, and then Brighton got their goal from probably Wan-Bissaka's main weakness this season has been at the back post. It's been a bit sleepy at the back post. It happened that Welbeck was able to get in. Henderson made a great save, but he couldn't stop the follow up. And I think that was actually kind of Brighton's only chance that I recall. I don't really remember them having another big chance in the game. Yeah, just that one mistake. And after that, I think United build it up, and were able to just nick goals really. I mean, Rashford's goal and then Greenwood's goal. It was just finding those moments and just finding a way to get the ball in net, just nicking those goals and seeing the game out.
Wasn't the Rashford one a mistake from Brighton? Pass straight to Fernandez, wasn't it?
I think so. I think there was a header out wide that ended up going to Fernandes.
Yeah, it was definitely an error from Brighton.
To be fair, I will credit one thing because I was watching the game as well. The error was caused by United's pressing because United were pretty intense. I think the second half in terms of their press, that's what caused. It's almost like they could smell a goal coming. But anyway,
It was still an error, though, isn't it?
no, yeah. Nabi.
Well, yeah, it was an error, and then we picked up on it, and were able to create the chance.
Good ball and good finish, to be fair, from Rashford, first time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's more finesse. I think he needs to do more rather than just bashing it.
Yeah, he tends to put quite a lot of.
Greenwood style, wasn't it?
Yeah, he tends to just sort of hit it as hard as I can and hope it goes in.
Yeah, it's probably more Martial style, the way he finished.
No, maybe, yeah.
Opening his body up.
I saw all it saying that we'd be lucky to see Martial back before the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean it's a blow and not a blow.
It
Not
shows
a
how
blow.
good he is, isn't it? Where it's not a blow.
Well, it's not a blow in that his form hasn't been great this season. It's a blow in terms of numbers, just having an extra body.
He's just not the world class player he was meant to be, is he? Or at least not yet. I don't know if he will ever reach what he was.
How old is he now?
25, 26, isn't he?
Well, you never know. What's it called? Lingard seems to be fulfilling his potential now at like 38 years old, so you never know.
To be fair, he had it for a bit, and then he kind of died off, didn't it? And I think he's made for like a mid-table type club. We won't know. Like,
To be fair, I think I
have a feeling he's there. He's found his level.
I agree because the reason why I say that is United were never going to sort of do what they do with Bruno with Lingard, because at the moment everything kind of goes through Lingard at West Ham. United, I feel he was never a big enough talent for them to say, okay, everything is going to go through you. So yeah, I think you're right in that sense that probably West Ham, like a that kind of team, probably suits him best. Yeah, we're exactly. I don't know what your thoughts on it, Nabi, are.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever going to do what he was doing now at West Ham with United. So I think he has found his place. Especially the way the West Ham were playing before, with having Antonio and Bowen.
Yeah.
With the pace they had anyway, it helps him, and he's fitted in really well. And that whole deal has kind of really become like a win-win-win for United.
Yeah, because that's been good business. Because now you can ask a little bit more for him, especially if he goes to the Euros. You can really rake up the price if you're looking to sell him.
Yeah, they can get a big price if they sell him. If Rice is on their transfer list, they can use Lingard as part of that. And even if they don't end up getting rid of them, then they've got Lingard back on form on their books.
True. But yeah.
What did you think of the Welbeck Maguire shout?
We all know what Nabi's gonna say, but for me, I don't know. That was a pen and a red card. Like for me, it was exactly the same as the David Luiz one. Like literally, because he clipped his heel, and then the guy went and Welbeck went down. You could see when he clipped his heel, but for some reason, the David Luiz one was red. That one wasn't. Because in that one, Welbeck, even worse, was in the motion of taking the shot when his heel was clipped. Whereas that against Wolves for Arsenal, the guy was still running.
Do you think that's what made it worse in terms of the fact that because he was stretching to try and reach the ball anyways, the ref kind of saw it as less of a foul than it would have been if they were still running towards the goal?
But it's still a foul. Okay,
no, if it's not, I think it's a foul. I'm just saying,
if it escapes the referee, that's why we have VAR, right?
But VAR's, I would want VAR to overturn that, but
because that's for me. If you give
deemed as that wasn't obvious enough,
if you're giving the Luiz one, that's a penalty all day long. Either they both are or none of them are. That's the way I'm kind of looking at it.
I thought it was definitely from behind. And
yeah, it definitely was from behind. Like, there's no doubt about. He was behind Welbeck. Nabi, I don't know. I think I already know what you're gonna say, but
Just a coming together, isn't it? Nothing in it.
no, for crying out loud.
Did you watch the obviously we don't talk about Europe really on the pod, but did you watch the one just before Real Madrid's second goal when Mane got barged by Lucas Vazquez?
Yeah.
Would you say that's coming together? Because I thought that was kind of more obvious than Harry Maguire's, but definitely in the same sort of similarities in terms of slightly from behind kind of nudge. Because I thought that was an obvious foul and red by Vazquez.
It was more into the back of Mane though, and the Maguire one was a bit more side on.
Oh, so you'd agree the Mane one was a foul?
Well, I didn't say it was. I'd say
Maguire was not side on now, but Maguire was behind Welbeck.
Is he the side on or it's not side on? There's not like a more side on.
Yeah, Maguire was behind Welbeck.
He definitely was behind for me. Yeah, yes. Was that at 1-1? That was at 1-1, right? Yeah.
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 Well, I can see why the Madrid one wasn't given, because I'm not sure there was enough in it.
There wasn't enough in it. He just barged straight into his back. Like, what else was? What's going to happen? How do you say there's not enough in that? I don't get it.
Wasn't enough in it. Mane's a big, strong boy as well.
It was a pretty big nudge in the back. Like, we're talking momentum as well at the same time. It's not like Mane's not trying to back into him and trying to keep strong and keep his course.
There is no side on there. There is no side. He is behind him. There is no side.
He's right next to him.
Behind him, right next to him, behind him.
He's not. He's right next to him.
Yeah, right next to him, behind him.
He's right next to him.
But yeah, I've realized I saw a compilation that someone did of all the fouls that Maguire has gotten away with, especially the Giroud one against Chelsea as well, where he literally bear hugged Giroud so that he didn't jump. I don't know if you guys.
Did you do it to Azpilicueta as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone did it to Azpilicueta. I think it was him, but I don't want to confirm, but I feel like it was something in that game.
But anyway, yeah, that's another one that he escaped, I think, because that definitely should have been.
Definitely nothing clear in that.
Well, the fact that you said Mane wasn't.
No, plus the fact.
Foul, then that just says everything.
Plus the fact Naby will never openly admit that. Oh yeah, that definitely was a foul by a Manchester United player. They will always be like a. Oh well, you know, you know.
You're the opposite.
Pardon?
It's the opposite with you guys.
What do you mean?
It'll definitely be a foul in your eyes.
But there's been plenty of times that I've come on here and defended Man United, even though when I have no need to. But for you, it's like the knight in shining armor. There's no fault with Manchester United. You look up to it, it's just starry eyes and love hearts for you.
Yeah, definitely. Unless it's David De Gea.
Yeah. That's the only negative thing with Manchester United. David De Gea.
Second in the league. So
Pardon?
not much wrong. I said they are second in the league. So
but that doesn't mean that every performance has been. That doesn't mean every performance has been immaculate.
Because it could mean that everyone else is just doing really bad.
Yeah.
As well at the same time. Like, it's not purely down to United being amazing. Some of it's down to other teams being a lot worse, isn't it? Yeah, they're very good start, but they're not in. I wouldn't say they're on the.
We're moving away from the topic that we're initially having here. Nabi's very kindly just shifted the conversation from what we're actually talking about here. We're not talking about where you are in the league.
There was nothing else to go on what we were talking about, so might as well bring up relevant points.
Yeah, well,
let's just agree. It was a pen.
Yeah.
We made a mistake.
Yeah. And
VAR is useless, and moving on.
Yeah.
I thought Brighton played well. I do enjoy the football they play.
They did.
It's a shame that they just can't score goals.
I guess that's a conversation that Nabi and I were having in the last pod that didn't go out. I guess asking you now, Shab, and Nabi can chip in as well. Is that I think Shabs, you and I have had this discussion. I think on WhatsApp at some point. That what are your thoughts in Graham Potter potentially being England coach, because I kind of feel like, personally, just to give my 2 cents, I feel he's let down by Brighton rather than the other way round, because he doesn't have the striker, a prolific striker or prolific attacking players that will continuously get him goals, because they are creating chances, they are playing good football whilst doing it, but they're just not scoring them.
Yeah, I would say, like, I think the youth and the talent that we have coming through in the England side, I think Potter would actually be perfect for it. Like, if he, because of the style that he plays, like, Brighton play very good football, create a lot of chances and a lot of big chances as well. We're not just talking they're just shooting from 20, 30 yards out and getting their stats up. Like, they have very good chances. They think they're just missing sitters. Imagine Kane and Rashford and Sterling and Sancho running onto those chances with like those creative midfielders. I think the only doubt I would have is the fact that he obviously wouldn't have the same sort of time to work on the coaching side of it. Obviously, he works week in, week out with Brighton, whereas with England, you're getting them
once every so often.
International break, So I don't know how that would affect him. But in terms of if he can transfer what he does at Brighton to the England setup, I would love to have him there compared to Southgate. I don't think Southgate knows what to do with these kind of talents like Foden and stuff, whereas I think Potter, with his style of football, and I think he would do a lot more with our attacking talent, because our defensive side is weak, so we need to put everything to our strength. Whereas I think Gareth Southgate's gone the other way and tried to just shut everything up and kind of ruined our attacking talent in a way. They kind of caged in a little bit, I feel like, with the system and style that he plays. So yeah, I would like to have Graham Potter as England boss.
I think it's too big a jump though from where he is now to Brighton to then England. I think maybe if he takes over the under-21s, I think that would be a good stepping stone for him to get that experience.
But then I would say, would you not say going from Brighton manager to under-21s, because you're managing a Premier League team, to all of a sudden under-21s, that's a bit of a step down for him?
No, I wouldn't say so. Because I think you can achieve more with the under-21s than he probably could with Brighton.
No, but with the under-21s, the only thing that he gains over in comparison to Brighton is the fact that he gets the experience in terms of international football and international tournaments and dealing with players every so often rather than every single week. But in terms of levels, you got to say managing the Premier League will be a smaller jump to the England national team compared to an under-21s. It's more the structure behind it, or that it will be smoother going from under-21s to internationals.
But he's not really got the tournament experience at club level.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's a tournament, like the international tournaments, and dealing with the fact that with under-21s, he'll deal with the fact that he's getting players every 3-4 months during the international breaks. And then for the summer, like, that's all the time he has to work on them. That's the experience he'll gain and understand and know how to deal with it, where that he won't get at Brighton. But otherwise, I wouldn't say I would say it might be a smoother jump because of the fact that it's similar styles in learning international football. But I wouldn't say it's a smaller jump in terms of talent, because under-21s, any big under-21 talent in general,
they're in the first team.
In the first team, anyways, like players like Phil Foden and that, they're jumping straight into the first team. So you're left with a mixture of decent talents and some okay talents. Like you're not under-21s. You haven't got a pool of world-class players. You got potentials. That's what you've got, which isn't the same, I don't think. Personally, I just think the one thing that makes us move and what worked for Gareth Southgate was obviously the transitions, in terms of he understands the England youth players and knows them well, and he was brought them into the international fold.
But that's not really brought him any success, though, is it?
No.
I guess this, so it kind of highlights as well. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, and he also understands he probably understands better how to deal with using just that 2 or 3 week period that he will have with the players
to maximize it.
He'll be used to doing that, maximizing that. Whereas a manager who prefers to have player in daily 9 to 5 or whatever every day, it's a bit of a complete change of mindset, isn't it? Like, you may not be able to work on the things you'd want to work on and stuff.
He's had more success though than the other previous managers of England.
Yeah, that doesn't take much. So.
Yeah,
And
I
you also have to consider,
against those
obviously,
fixtures, I could have gotten England as far as they did in the last World Cup.
And the moment he hit a team that where you had to be better tactically, he lost out. Like I think that England team was good enough to beat Croatia
Yep.
if he understood how to use the tactics correctly. And he didn't. It didn't work out.
It's almost like his tactic is let's contain first. After that, rather than going to impose yourself. Yeah, it's like let's go and impose ourselves in the game. But anyway, I guess that's that. Moving on to the next game, actually, which is the Arsenal-Liverpool game. Like we were saying before we in the last pod, we discussed this with Nabi. I'd gone for an Arsenal defeat and was just looking for a performance, but I didn't even get a performance, to be honest. I think some of the players were still international duty. None of them, literally, I can't say. I would say the only player who looked okay for us was Gabriel. Apart from that, everyone was completely awful.
The whole game?
Pardon?
The whole game?
Up until No, I would say he looked alright, yeah.
Didn't he make 2 mistakes?
Which ones? But making mistakes doesn't mean you've had an awful game. To be fair, the first one, there was one goal. I think it was the third goal. That one, I will solely put on him. The second one, I would say he was just unlucky with the ricochet of the ball because he slid in for a tackle. Yeah, it was a good tackle on Salah, but then the ball ricocheted off Salah's foot and fell right in front of Salah. So there's not much he could have done there. It was a bit unlucky. And then he couldn't tackle Salah from behind. He just had to let him go. Otherwise, if you tackled him, it's a penalty and potentially a red.
Leno saved it.
Which you would have thought he would have saved it, but, had his legs wide open. Had his legs wide open. But in terms of the mistake, the third goal, I think it was, where that's the one that Trent crosses it in.
I intercepted. When Gabriel tried to hit it out to Cedric.
And then Trent crossed it in. So that one I get, but in terms of the Salah one, I would just say that was just unlucky with the tackle. To be honest, I can't really put that as a mistake by him. And I think Gary Neville kind of mentioned it as well, that he did the right thing, because normally after making that kind of tackle and it doesn't fall for you, defenders generally tend to go in rash for the second tackle, which he could have done against Salah, but he just decided let him go, stay in the game. But like I said, I guess in terms of the lineup, one thing I wasn't happy with was Aubameyang on the left. I could understand why he wanted to do it, but I wasn't happy with it because we saw against West Ham it didn't work. I don't think it works anymore to have Aubameyang on the left. Whereas if you thought you could have had him potentially against two relatively inexperienced in the Premier League centre-backs, we decided to try and exploit the space behind Trent, which if you actually end up watching the whole game, I think in total Arsenal had something like 2 or 3 shots the whole game and 2 on target. And if you saw the shots that were on target, I wouldn't personally class them as shots, to be honest. The other one was like a really, really tame header by Pepe. Alisson could have caught that with his eyes closed. And I can't remember the other ones, to be fair.
There was one from Cedric.
I would say that was that one was the only decent one, but again, pretty routine for Alisson. You'd expect a keeper to save that. So again, I think if you watch the whole game, Arsenal showed, like I said this to Shabs, like this was more like, I get why Liverpool fans were happy, etc. But for me, this was more a game of how poor Arsenal were as opposed to how good Liverpool were. Because we literally did nothing. If you look at some of the final third entries, I think we had less than 10 final third entries the whole game. And touches in the opposition box, again, I think it was like less than 15 or something like that. So looking at the numbers, it kind of sort of backs that going forward, we're talking about Gareth Southgate looking to contain. Arsenal were very, very timid this whole game. Even containing didn't work. Again, looking at the way he'd set up, it looked like he was planning on playing on the counter-attack. But to play on the counter-attack, you actually need to attack. and we just didn't do that at all. Laka was playing too deep. Whenever we got the ball, it went up top. Just centre backs were just winning it straight back, and it made it really easy for Liverpool to play in our half the whole game. Literally, really, really straightforward. I don't know if you guys remember, even Gary Neville was like, him and Martin Tyler could have played as their centre backs. It was that easy for them yesterday because literally there was nothing that Arsenal were offering going forward at all. Aubameyang not really making runs in behind Trent. At the same time, I'm saying, do I blame him? Because there's a guy, James McNicholas, on the on a podcast that I listened to. What's it called again? The Arse blog. He was essentially talking about how when he was in the ground, he could hear Arteta. His whole interaction throughout the whole game with Aubameyang was about telling him to defend as opposed to attack. So it just makes you wonder, like, you know, you've signed this guy up to a big, massive contract. The last thing you want is to hear your coach constantly telling him to get back defending, you know, as opposed to sort of getting behind, stress them a little bit. There was a shot where you saw, I think it might have been first half or second half, I can't remember, where you saw Aubameyang taking heavy breaths, you know, and someone, again, Gary Neville making the point that, you know, you're expecting this guy to track back and defend, and then you win the ball immediately, expect him to go forward and get in behind. You know, it's not, especially at his age, you know, 31 now? I think it's asking a bit too much. I would have preferred if he played Oba down the middle, Martinelli on the left. That's another one that I guess Nabi asked about as well. Like, with all the injuries that we had with Saka, Smith Rowe, and Xhaka out, it would have been a time to play Martinelli on the left hand side. Sorry, especially the type of player he is, with the high energy, trying to get in behind. I think he would have caused more problem for Trent than Oba did down the side, and have either Oba or Laka on the middle. But I just don't think now, I think I've settled my mind that I don't think playing up Oba and Laka in the same team, having Oba out wide works anymore. It may have last season, but yeah, it definitely doesn't work anymore. I don't know what you guys' thoughts were.
You want my thoughts?
Yeah.
I do agree that Arsenal were very bad. Because I remember saying at half time, like, I'm waiting for Arsenal. Like, I feel like we maybe missed an opportunity by not scoring in that first half, because at some point Arsenal have got to get better.
Mm-hmm.
it just
didn't.
Nothing happened. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's not what you normally get at the Emirates. But what I would say is, in these kind of situations, it's always a mixture of both. I thought we won the midfield battle, and I think partly was your personnel.
Yep.
I don't think your personnel could handle the high energy press game that we played. Because there's one thing kicking it long and trying to play on the counter and hold it up and stuff. It's fine if you have the space to try and pick out, like I said. But when you're just hoofing it because you're under pressure, our players are just going to header it back, and then we're just going to carry on. And that's basically what happened the whole game. Anytime you did get the ball, we just went on the press, similar to the first game kind of thing. But I think the first game
we played it out. We were a lot braver on the ball in the first game.
This game, like, we put you guys under pressure, and it was
we just folded completely.
You just kick it as far as you can. And
what I would say,
that first goal went in, floodgates open.
Yeah, that
Arsenal, God, I've never seen it like that before.
That's the thing. Under Arteta, I think it's the first time I've seen that, where after the first goal, you're like, yeah, that's it. You know, one thing I would say, actually, a point I forgot to make was, with the point that you're making, we had essentially most of our ball or all of our ball progressors, apart from Jacques what's his name, Partey, were not in the team. David Luiz out injured, and Granit Xhaka, again, another ball progressor, out injured. So the only one who could actually progress the ball forward, Partey, was in. But he, like you're saying, the personnel, he was partnered with Daniel Ceballos, who likes way too many touches on the ball. And especially when you're playing against, like you said, a team with such a high press, you need to be releasing the ball really quickly. There was a clip that I saw where Pepe made a run spun out wide outside Robertson, made a run. Dan Ceballos didn't pass it. He came back, made the same run again. Dan Ceballos didn't pass it, and then Pepe was going mental at him. But yeah, I agree with, we did, literally midfield was virtually non-existent, if not non-existent, because like you're saying, everything was going long. Even I don't know if you noticed this, we weren't playing up from the back at all. But like I said, I think that's due to the fact that all of our ball progressors were not in the team, apart from
because you
Partey.
normally have Xhaka come deep to pick it up and then pick out a pass left or right, but he wasn't there.
Or David Luiz takes it off the keeper as well.
Yeah, and it's just none of it was there. You normally have like your creative players, Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe, and they create it, but they're also high energy, high press.
Yeah.
And you lost that in the midfield with players like Ceballos. Yeah, you haven't got the kind of pressing from them either. So when we did have the ball, we were comfortable. We had the space to just pick out passes and everything.
What I will say though,
we usually just played it in Arsenal's half.
I think that you're right. And also, one thing I did notice was whenever you guys were letting what's his name, Odegaard get the ball, it was always on his right foot. And you're always making him take extra touches, like in terms of the positioning of your players. You were not allowing him to sort of easily come into his left, and then whether that was an instruction by the manager or not, I'd assume it was. Because most of the time that he was getting the ball, it was almost like it was always on his right, and having to take extra touches to try and get it onto his left. Which, yeah, obviously with the press again, someone's made a run. They're offside, space is taken, you're under pressure, you're going to lose the ball, etc., etc. So, yeah, as well as us being poor, I think there were some things that Liverpool did really well as well, to be honest. But I still feel like that was an opportunity to have put up a decent performance to see what we could have caused some issues. But yeah. But one thing I will say though, I noticed having Fabinho back in midfield works really well for you guys.
I think that is a massive difference.
Yeah.
I think having him there, he has a lot of composure. But what I was going to say is the one thing that disappointed me about Arsenal. Oh wow, to be fair, it was good for us because it made the easy game. But we've taken better teams to Emirates and struggled and had entertaining 4-4 draws and things like that. And this was the one time that I know most of our players are fit, apart from the two centre backs, obviously the big thing this season. But the fact that they were so comfortable, it was like, as an Arsenal fan, I'd be really disappointed. I don't know how worried I'd be because obviously you got the excuse of like Saka's injured, Emile Smith-Rowe's injured, but I think it also shows like you haven't even got like the squad depth at all, even close to. Like at this point, you might miss out on Europe altogether. Unless you
if there was any inkling in Arteta to sign Dani Ceballos, that should have all been gone against Liverpool. That should have pretty much just been like, yeah, we need a better player. And it's funny to say the fact that we missed Xhaka as well. You know, I know we've already touched on it, but it's just a weird thing to say. You wouldn't think you would say, oh, we missed Granit Xhaka in the team. But yeah, and also like you're saying in terms of the squad depth, the fact that we're relying on a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old, you know, to help us get good performances. I don't know if you guys saw the graph that they put up on Sky Sports, which was showing the points per game that we were getting with Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka in the team, which was 2.2, which is essentially top 4 form with those guys in the team, whereas without them it was like 1.3, 1.4, something. I'm making that one up.
It's ridiculous to have to be that reliant on, like, as an Arsenal football club, you shouldn't have to be that reliant on two youngsters.
Yep.
Who are probably on the lowest wages side. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. I guess then no. Oh, sorry, Nabi.
I was going to say, aren't they supposed to be the squad depth?
Exactly, because I was going to say this then now.
Because they become the first team, the ones who meant to be, like, obviously you'd then be squad depth, but the first teamers or so-called first teamers are awful. They're just not good enough.
What's the phrase that I like that phrase that Gary? Sorry, I keep referencing him a lot, but he was speaking a lot of truth, to be fair. So it's hard to hear as an Arsenal fan, but it's like it is facts. You know, you can't argue with it. He used the term that a lot of these seasoned vets. I'm pretty sure he says this But I'm pretty sure he was referring to Aubameyang and Lacazette, that they look like fed lions, and Arteta needs hungry lions as opposed to fed lions. You know, like these are guys who are comfortable. You know, they're fine, they're happy.
Wasn't that an issue under Arsene Wenger that everyone moaned about for the last 2 or 3, maybe even more seasons, where everyone started saying the mentality of the Arsenal side, everyone in there is just comfortable. Players are comfortable. Then they're happy just getting top 4 or getting 5th and playing a bit of entertaining football and stuff. And you've then gone to Emery and then gone to Arteta, and you've still got players at this club who give the impression of that same sort of mentality. And it's just.
But then again, the argument I would say against that is a lot of these players are still, or some of these players are still there from Wenger. So until it's one of those like until you get rid of every single player.
Aren't they?
Yeah, Aubameyang was signed 2017. No, Aubameyang was January, the year that Wenger left. So we had him January. Well. Yeah, Lacazette was signed the summer before Aubameyang. And Xhaka was signed again by Wenger. So I guess, and if you look at the thing is, these are key characters in the dressing room, right? So up until the point, yeah, exactly. So up until the point you've gotten rid of all these players, then it's going to be difficult to sort of completely get rid of that type of mentality. Because like you said, we've got Xhaka, a former captain. We've got another captain in Aubameyang, and Lacazette, I think, was one of Emery's captain groups as well, and sometimes gets a captain's armband. So there are a lot of players. You got your Hector Bellerin's. The list sort of goes on, but yeah, it's one. I guess just say we're recording this on Thursday. We'll see with tonight's performance, because they really have to bounce back from that. We can't play the way we did. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it really is. We can't play the way we did. Otherwise, Slavia Prague will tear us apart. But Nabi, sorry, I feel like we've cut you out a little bit. If you got anything to you wanna stab any more wounds into my heart,
or maybe just positive stuff about Liverpool.
Must have been a painful watch for you.
No, it was. It was.
Well, I don't think they were. Well, they were bad, but they weren't like. They were more pointless, I think, than bad. Because you can be.
That's
bad,
worse, though. Like, is that not worse?
That's what I'm saying. Because when you're bad, you're misplacing passing, your shooting's poor. But Arsenal couldn't even get the ball to do that.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're right. It was very, very pointless, and I guess like a lot of people, I was in the same boat. This was taking us back to like the worst Wenger performances. It really taken us back. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen us play like this under Arteta. Even when we were playing badly in sort of up until sort of December time, we still had like a five maybe 10-minute period where you're like, oh, they might score. Whereas this whole game, I'm not gonna lie to you, there wasn't a single minute or second that I thought, oh, we're gonna score here. Like, we didn't have, every team, every game, you get like a 5-minute period where the other team is playing well and they're a little bit energized. There was literally none of. We had it after halftime, but that was more off the ball. We were pressing more. On the ball, it was still all the same. Nothing on the ball.
There was a different energy for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was just on the pressing side of it, trying to make you guys to make mistakes. But apart from that, yeah, it literally was nothing.
Mentally, the players lost focus, and all focus is kind of gone to the Europa League.
They better show it tonight. That's the thing. It's still a really bad thing, like, to do as a professional. I think to say, we don't really care about the Premier League anymore. We're gonna focus on the Europa League. But if that is the case, they have to show it tonight. Every single one of them has to perform tonight. That's the thing. Like, if they don't, then yeah. Like you said,
McKinnon,
this is a massive, massive game for us. Because, if they don't, it'll be literally... And the fact that we lost Tierney as well at halftime, it's now 4 to 6 weeks that he's going to be out for, which is huge for us. It's completely huge for us. Because no one's going to be able to give us what Tierney does on that left-hand side. It's going to... Even Saka, he will play in left back, but it might have to mean going back to a back three to sort of get the attacking presence from that side. But I hope he plays Cedric. That he's had some good games, but it's really a tough period now. And I think what made that result worse was, like I said, the fact that Tierney got injured. It just compounded on the defeat, but it is what it is, I guess.
In terms of Liverpool positives, it's the same story every week. This is what I was saying to Tin last week. 3 words that will sum up Liverpool's performance: Jota. He is
not as simple as that though, was it? The first goal, Trent put it on a plate for him. Like, yes, he has to get into positions. I'm not saying Jota wasn't great. He has to get into positions, great header and everything, but Trent's ball was pretty good as well.
Why does Trent's ball suddenly come when Jota's on the pitch?
Because he makes the runs that probably Firmino doesn't.
Exactly, Jota.
No, but you're making it seem like a one-man team. The second goal was all Salah. Like, literally, it had no Jota involved.
But that came from the comfort of the fact that you already had the first goal. You already had the first goal from Jota.
It was a pass from Salah to Mane. Mane kind of tried to roll defender, and it just fell into Jota's path.
Yeah, exactly. So if Jota wasn't there, Mane would have miscontrolled it, and Arsenal defender would have gotten the ball.
I think Mane might have scored that.
Nah, he miscontrolled. He completely miscontrolled that.
It didn't get that far away from it.
But because Jota was direct, if Jota wasn't there, it would have rolled. It would have rolled further away from him.
No, but we never know. That's the thing. We just don't know.
But we know that Jota will score. That's what we know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying. I love Jota. Like, he's a great player. Been amazing for us this season. Great signing. One of the best signings of the season in terms of in general.
If not the great, I would argue probably the best signing of the season, to be honest.
I'd say the only thing that goes against is probably the fact that he's been injured.
But then look, now that he's come back, and all of a sudden you're scoring goals again.
I know, but I don't want to discount anyone else.
No, I know you're a Liverpool fan, but as an outsider looking in, it literally just seems Jota comes back and just firing in terms of up front again. Because the other three, without Jota, they were shooting blanks.
To be fair, Salah's top goal scorer in the league.
Yeah, but like, that's because all the other guys haven't been...
It wasn't always with Jota around, because Jota's been injured.
No, I was going to say that's because let's be honest here, all the other strikers have been pretty poor this season. Because
I think Mane definitely has, and Firmino's been...
No, I wasn't speaking about the Liverpool striker. I was saying, let's say if this was last season or the season before, he wouldn't be top goal scorer anymore. Because...
That's what you're saying in the league.
Yeah, I'm talking about the league.
But isn't Kane top goal scorer?
Isn't Salah top goal scorer?
I think you're...
Salah's been for a while. If
has
gone ahead of him, Salah has been for a while.
Yeah.
Remember, we were going through that bad patch of losing for ages, and Salah was top at the time still. If Kane is
Kane is ahead by 1. Kane has got 19.
Recently, Kane's gone ahead,
Yeah, Kane's got 19, Salah's got 18.
A Salah who's been in a side who went 6 games at Anfield without a goal and stuff. Like, we're talking about a guy who's stayed top for ages up until this last weekend. I think.
You got the winner in your last Premier League game again?
Jota.
Who got the winner? In the last Premier League game.
That's a whole Jota goals. That's a whole Jota goals right there.
Hey, I'm sure I've heard that one before. Jota does make a difference. We did end up in the front 4 as well. After Firmino stayed on, Jota stayed
it was 4-2-4, wasn't it?
Yeah, I do actually like it as a front 4. I definitely would like to use it more often. I think Liverpool should. I don't know if Klopp worries about the whole midfield balance with the front four, but
he could have done it was easy for him to do that against Arsenal though, because like we literally had no midfield presence.
It was done by then. There have been games where he's used it where it's been a bit more pressure and it still worked out well. Like from the beginning, like he's used it from the beginning and it's been fine. But yeah, I think the issue comes with the whole midfield balance that Klopp worries about. But yeah, Jota does make a difference. When you're the player who's on form in terms of goal scoring, then that's how it's going to be, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess moving on to goal scoring. Are you looking forward to playing Aston Villa? Looking to get the 7 goals back on them? That was a stretch of a segue. Jeez.
I don't think it'll be anywhere near 7. Like I think we can win. Like Real Madrid game has put a bit of bit of a spanner in the works kind of thing.
Reality check after the Arsenal game.
I wouldn't say it's a reality check, but it's definitely
a reality check.
No, because no one ever beat Arsenal and thought that's it. Like we're back top of our game. Like we knew Arsenal were poor.
There was a lot of Liverpool pundit people that I was seeing on Twitter, especially official ones as well, saying that's it. Liverpool are back, and I'm like, bro, you were playing a really pointless Arsenal team, as Nabi put it.
But what I would say about the Madrid game is, we don't go into too much about. We were awful. We did in Arsenal what Arsenal did with us, we did with Madrid, basically.
Fair.
The second half was improved, but I don't know if you guys watched that first half, but
I watched the first half. I didn't watch the second.
Yeah, so in that first half, we misplaced. I don't know how many passes, but it felt like every single one was misplaced. Like literally every single one. They all lost. Like they became Sunday League players or something. I don't know what happened to them, but I've never seen a team so bad. I think they were worse than what Arsenal were against us.
I don't know,
or at least just everything missed, literally. And then Thiago came on in the 42nd minute, first pass. Tried to pass it like across to the other side to Trent. Misplaced it instantly.
But like Nabi said, that's when you're playing bad, right? You were still in the game. Whereas with Arsenal, it was just pointless. There was no point in the players being on the pitch.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, my point is just like we made them look much
world class.
Probably are. Yeah. We gave their world class players too much time on the ball as well. But that's a different whole thing altogether. But yeah, like. I don't know if Grealish is back, but I would be.
I saw pictures of him in training.
He was meant to be back last game, but I think he ended up having another knock, or I don't know how minor or big it was, but he was definitely meant to be back last game. If he is back this game, it's more of a worry, but I think this game's massive for us. As much as for the league as it is for the upcoming game against Madrid. In terms of, I don't think we've won at home in 6? Or even scored probably. So we need to get a win in Anfield in the build up to this next big one. And also we're still in this top 4 fight. So yeah, we need to refocus and get Thiago back in the starting lineup and go for it. Back to the same team as what started against Arsenal probably. Well, actually no, Jota. I'd keep Jota in the starting lineup. I don't think he started against Arsenal.
Would you have him ahead of Firmino?
I'd possibly go to a front 4.
4-2-4.
Probably, yeah, because I think that's what we probably would want to do against Madrid, personally, and I think you kind of gotta go for it in both games. Or maybe you see Klopp going in with like Milner with high energy kind of player, because I think we lacked the energy against Madrid in that midfield for some reason. Don't know why, but we did. Whereas Milner, that's what Milner offers, isn't it? And that leadership as well he offers. But yeah, I don't think Aston Villa is as strong as they were early on in the season, especially without Grealish. And they do leak. Like, I wouldn't say they leak goals, but they do give goals away and chances away. And they don't score huge amounts. I know the last game they won 3-1, but they weren't outstanding in that game. So yeah, like I'm quietly confident, but I'm not crazy confident. Like, I'm not confident enough to say we'll definitely win. But
when you say give goals away, Mings makes mistakes to give goals away.
Yeah, that was that game. But I think in general, like they've not played, like defensively, they've not played well. Like you've had Martinez like save them a few times recently. I think he's made some recent howlers in the odd game and stuff that I've seen. Yeah, so a mixture of things. Like I think what we need is just like a first half goal.
Settle the nerves.
Settle the nerves, and I don't think we've actually scored in the last 6 games either. So just to get that out of the way, and then try and get even a 1-0 or 2-0 win at Anfield, I think is what we need really, which we can do.
So what would you be thinking if Liverpool didn't score by half time?
I think nerves will kick in just like it does every time, except for in the Arsenal game where it didn't kick in that much, but because we were playing very well. Like we were actually playing very well. If we are playing well and missing chances, then we go 0-0 at half time. Yes, the nerves kick in, but look, you still got to be confident enough that you get that goal at some point. And we are kind of back to a fully fit squad, except for the centre backs. Basically, I think every other position we have the cover that we would want. Basically, I don't think there's many injuries left apart from our centre back position, which obviously is a massive problem, but nothing we can do about that. So.
Yeah, but you have centre backs now.
We do. I just think we obviously brought players in that we wouldn't realistically want to start, would we? Like we would want to start a Van Dijk, a Gomez, and Matip. It's like it's not ideal, but it is what we've got.
Maybe this is for a future discussion, but what do you think the future actually holds for Phillips, Kabak, and Davies? Remember Davies?
I think Davies is probably sold on for about, I don't know, between 5 to 10 million if possible. Make a bit of profit.
A profit from not playing,
Mate, this is Michael Edwards. We do a lot of profit deals when we sell. Kabak, I think he stays due to the price and the fact that he's 20 and he actually has shown a lot of potential. I think his issue is he lacks pace, or enough pace against like the big threats of like if we came up against like an Mbappe in the Champions League or a Haaland, I think he would struggle quite a bit. But
it's one where if his positioning is good, he should be fine. Because I look, for example, at Mertesacker, probably one of the slowest defenders I remember, but with him, his positioning was always so good, where he could cut out a ball.
Adjust a high line, wouldn't we? Like, Klopp likes the high line, and he obviously brought in players like Van Dijk, Gomez, and players like that who can deal with the high line because they're so quick.
That's true. To be fair, he played a high line against us, and it was maybe that's more the fact that we didn't actually do anything. But
like you said, Arsenal.
Yeah. So can't really judge him on that.
That's kind of an anomaly situation. They made it so easy. Kabak stays as 4th. I think Phillips possibly stays as 5th centre back, and I think Matip leaves and someone else comes in. Or I think that's the hope. And obviously the rumours are Konate, but then I've also seen recent rumours where it's not going to be him. So I don't know, but I do think we sell Matip and sign someone else, not because of Matip's lack of quality, but his injury issues. And then I would like to see either the new person, based on who comes in as a centre back, either be Van Dijk and that new player, or Van Dijk and Gomez. Happy with either. I think Gomez is still like one of the best defensive talents in the league. It's just, he's obviously had injury issues as well, which is a problem. But I do think he has everything to his game. So
how do you rate then Phillips? Because if Phillips goes as 5th centre back, surely he's then going into the abyss because he's 24 now. Surely this is when he needs to start.
He either stays as 5th centre back or he might push his way out, but he's definitely not in the top 3. Like Kabak's ahead of him, I would say. And then obviously Van Dijk, Gomez, and whoever we sign will be ahead of him. So he at best he'll be 4th centre back, which I personally wouldn't want. I don't think he's good enough. Like personally, I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a lower league or championship level defender. I don't know what you guys think from seeing him.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I predict him going into the championship. Yeah,
I think he'd be very good in the championship. So I just think that's his level. Like he has obviously done well for us and everything, but it's just not his level. Like personally, I just don't think he's good enough. I would happily keep him as a 5th, but obviously
he won't want to stay
as a 5th. That's a whole other story, isn't it? But as a Liverpool fan, I would say I'd happily keep him.
Didn't you compare him to Maguire?
Yeah, but did I say Maguire's good enough? I don't think Maguire's good enough.
Maguire, England's best.
Obviously, it's a bit of gas, isn't it? When you see a lot of Twitter comments and things like that, where we're saying Nat Phillips is like Maguire and stuff, like he's obviously not good enough. We all know he's not. We're obviously hyping him up because we're enjoying the fact that he's keeping clean sheets. And for someone who's not even meant to be in this Liverpool squad, like he was omitted from the initial Champions League squad when it first came out at the beginning of the season. That's how far away he was from this first team. He wasn't even in that squad. He had to come back into the squad when they redid the squad once the group stages were over. So for him to come in and do well and not really put too much of a foot wrong, like we obviously enjoyed it and we're going to support him for that. But in the grand scheme of things, like long term, he's not good enough to be a starter.
Yeah, he's going to end up in the Championship.
Speaking of
possibly
not good enough and potentially ending up in the Championship, Arsenal are also playing Sheffield. That was top notch. No, that was not forced. That one was top notch. That one was top notch. I must, if I do say so myself.
I would say. I agree.
Yeah, Arsenal are playing Sheffield, and we are away. I think Bramall Lane, is it? This weekend on 8:00 kickoff. I hate.
Is this a must win or is this a rotation? And
well, yeah, I was gonna say it depends on how how tonight's result goes. If we win, I would say rotate. It's the point now where you start making sure that we make sure.
Don't you want to try and get into Europa, because you can still get into Europa League, right? In terms of the league,
we can, but boy, I don't know.
You're risking obviously ending up in the Europa Conference League. Which you don't want to do. It's bad enough being in the Europa League, let alone the Conference League.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I would say rotate, but it's not a rotate where I would say put all the youngsters and still keep it relatively strong. But the players that you don't need to play, don't play them.
Like the vital players.
For example, your Partey, your Saka. I would probably rest Partey, Saka, and Emil Smith-Rowe. If they need to, they can come on at halftime at that game. But yeah, I would look to rest those guys because we can't afford any injury or any slip-ups. It's at the point now where we need to sort of try and keep a little bit in the league to try and qualify for Europa, but also try as much as we can. Like I do think if we get into the Champions League next year, it'll just be a joke. Like I don't see us doing well, if I'm completely honest. But at least if we get another trophy, and it will make us a little bit more attractive to get players. Because if we go into the Champions League with the same squad, oh my goodness, pray for Arsenal. That's what I'm saying. Oh my goodness, playing.
When there's random teams sometimes making,
it will be like that.
You're all for it, like a West Ham, but then they're out in the qualifiers. Finished fourth in the group stages, and you're like, what was the point in that?
Yeah.
For having one of these like Chelsea's or Liverpool's who didn't make it, actually, give it a proper shot.
Yeah,
Arsenal's become that team, haven't they?
Literally, it will be like, almost like I fell and I landed on my feet somehow. It's literally one of those.
Like a little novelty. It's like, Arsenal got in.
But it's one of the, if we get in and we strengthen our squad and we get rid of some players, we'll have a decent chance to go far. I wouldn't say win the tournament, but just to go far. But it
comes down to seeding and stuff, though, doesn't it? As well?
Yeah. I would say it comes down to seeding, and also comes down to our signings. Like our signings this summer will be crucial. Because if we mess around signing 40-year-old players again, it's just not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And there's a lot of talk now. Arsenal players, Arsenal fans. Lacazette's deal is up next year. Some are saying give him a contract. I'm like, do not give him a contract, regardless how well he's our top goal scorer this season. But I'm like, don't give him a contract. As much as I've liked Lacazette at Arsenal, it's time for him to go. We've got too many players tied down, too many old players tied down to long-term contracts. He needs to go, and get someone. I've always been a huge fan, Odsonne Edouard at Celtic. Get him in. and let him do the work behind Oba, and then eventually take Oba's spot. And another one as well, Nketiah I would look to sell. What's it called? Maitland-Niles I'd look to sell. Joe Willock look to sell. There's a whole heap of stuff that I think we should do this summer. But in terms of this weekend, I do have a feeling that we will win, but I will say it will all depend on what happens tonight. Because if we lose tonight, we could go in that game completely defeated, But yeah, the players need to wake up in terms of the league, and we'll see how they react tonight. But in terms of the league, they really do need to wake up, because like you said, there's still a slight chance we might make it to Europa League via the league. And yeah, we need to grab with both hands, as opposed to trying to get into the Conference League. Really, really not finna do that. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have any sort of thoughts on. But I guess for Arsenal, the main thing is probably depends on what happens tonight. That's when you could probably have a clearer picture of who might play, who might not play. Well, we know David Luiz, I think, is probably out for the season, because he just had a operation on his knee as well. So I think he's out for the season anyway. It hasn't been confirmed actually, but I think he will be out for the season. I'll be surprised if he's back before the season, which again will be another big loss. But yeah. Do any of you guys have anything you want to add to that before we move on to the big game?
Were you not keen to keep Maitland-Niles in the summer?
I was, but then Arteta just hasn't used him, and when he has played, he's not been great. So yeah, it's one of those, we kept him, but he's not made the most of it. So let's sell him. Still young, he's English. Get a fairly handsome fee for him as well. So we've got a new guy in our team who's at Arsenal, who now looks at the contractual situations. Dick Garlic, who he was the Premier League.
What was his name?
What a name.
Dick Garlic.
What a name.
Yeah. He's currently with the Premier League. I think he's going to finish his time with the Premier League, and then he'll come over to.
Was this announced on the 1st of April?
No. This was quite early on in the season, actually. I think last year at some point. Yeah. Obviously, Dick being his nickname.
Richard. Is it Richard become?
Yeah. Richard Garlic is the one who's going to be. So we'll see what he can do in terms of trying to get some of these players out for a handsome fee. But yeah. Moving on to the big one at the Toilet Bowl. Tottenham take on
Tottenham United.
Man United. Nabi, how are you feeling? You're back at Jose's stomping ground. Facing Jose again.
Yeah.
Revenge mission?
Sorry, before you, I really just want him to do it. I really want, not because I'm an Arsenal fan as well, obviously. I hate United, but I just want Ole to beat Mourinho so that he can just pat him on the top of the head again. Like when I saw that was one of the most beautiful clips I've ever seen. But yeah, Sorry, Nappy. I would like to see that again.
I would be more confident if we didn't have these Europa League games in between them. I think if they weren't there, then going on United's form and Spurs' form, I'd be reasonably confident that United would win. But obviously these games cause a complication. So in that sense, I am a bit worried about how it's going to go on Sunday. I think regardless of what kind of team he puts out tonight, even if he puts an under-strength team out, I think it will still affect them going into Sunday, what with the travelling and whatnot. So in that sense, yes, I'm worried about Sunday and Kane.
Well, I thought Maguire. If Maguire is that good, surely he could do what Gabriel did to Kane.
Son's back as well, isn't he?
Oh, Sonny boy, can't stop Sonny boy.
Arsenal did.
Back. I think United win this. To be fair.
Yeah, same.
I don't think it'll be. I don't think it'll be United winning like 3 or 4-0. But United are genuinely decent away from home, and I think it could quite easily be like a 2-1 or a 1-0 to United. I think it'll be cagey, and then with a.
It won't be a pretty win. If they do get a win, it'll be let's hack a win together.
I don't think Tottenham would ever make it a pretty win for anyone. I think Tottenham just have that style where it's going to be that way, isn't it? It's going to be cagey and it's going to be like a mistake or something that leads to the win.
Well, because he's kind of changed recently. Like he's been going 3 at the back, in the last couple games.
I don't think it's worked that well for them though. I think he'll sit deeper and try and counter United. I think that'd be his plan.
Yeah, well, I think that might be United's plan as well, which might make it a very cagey game.
I think that's what would make it a bit of a stalemate kind of style.
I think it's one of those. It probably will. If it's good, it probably will be decided on a mistake. I think United will be probably happy enough to get the draw, to not lose, basically. And just kind of, I don't even know what they, because obviously all the talk is they want to win a trophy. I don't know how seriously they take it.
Yeah, shouldn't the focus be the Europa League, because you're kind of safe in terms of Champions League positions?
But it's the thing.
So the Europa League is a chance for a trophy, isn't it?
The Europa League is the target, but then you have got not an easy tie, but a more favourable tie. So then, do you then play the second 11 in the tie, hoping that they can actually do the job in the Europa League, save the first team?
Personally, I would say first team in Europa League, get the tie wrapped up, and then because if there's a who's at home first,
Granada.
If they shut you out, and you don't get an away goal, it could be cagey the second game. More cagey than it really need to be. Whereas if you go rampant 3-4 away goals, then you know that you're relatively safe.
Well, that's what they'll do. They'll try and do. It's basically just the same way they got by Real Sociedad. Just get it all done in the first leg.
Yeah, I would be more for that.
But then obviously that will then affect them for Sunday.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose to Mourinho again. You don't want Mourinho to do the double over you.
Yeah, because you end up giving Ollie the pat on the back of the head, and I don't want to see that.
So I think that's what makes it tricky. But they have found their way through this season, so.
Like Shab says, I think United will win. You find your way through. You'll find your way through.
Yeah, I think so. I think Tottenham were also poor against Newcastle as well. So if they carry on like that, I think United win.
Yeah, so I think that's basically the message. They're just they'll just try and find a way through.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes penalty from a Rashford
dive. If that's what it takes to see Ole patting Mourinho on the head, I'll take that. I will take that.
I'm not sure if he will. I think he'll play McTominay and Fred in midfield. I'd like him to play Bruno and Pogba against Spurs. Maybe McTominay and Pogba in the midfield. And then the front four, as it were.
Do you know what will be interesting? Is what the ref does in terms of they love giving Harry Kane penalties, but they love also not giving penalties away against United. Like Harry Maguire never gives penalties away. So with both coming up against each other, which one do they?
One has to break.
Yeah. Do they keep giving Kane penalties? Or
Kane will get the penalty. Off? He's the golden boy, England captain. He'll get the penalty.
Clever penalty.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Kane will get the penalty.
This time it will be from behind from Maguire.
Yeah.
Because Kane will make sure it's a tackle from behind.
Yeah.
Not even a tackle, just a touch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting battle. I'd like to see Kane versus the world class Maguire. I'd like to see how he gets on. The England teammates as well. So
yeah, if he's half as good as Gabriel, he'll shut him out the whole game completely. But we shall see. We shall see. I'm not sure if you've got any sorry.
Nothing.
I'm not sure if you've got any more to add in there. Any of you guys?
I've got nothing to say. No.
And on that note, thank you very much for tuning in. As we said before, our socials are all in the description, so please make sure you like, you follow, and you interact. Thank you for listening. Tonana.